What does it take to shatter a king forged from ice and shadow? Is it an army, a betrayal, a rival's blade? Or is it the quiet, impossible courage of a girl with nothing to lose, a girl who looks a monster in the eye and does not flinch? For Damien Blackwood, a man who owned the city's skyline and the darkness that festered beneath it, the answer arrived not with the roar of an explosion, but with the sickening, wet sound of spit hitting a woman's cheek. Damien Blackwood exists in a world of polished mahogany and muted screams. His office is a throne room perched atop a glass spire, overlooking a kingdom that fears his name. The city lights glitter below, a carpet of captured stars, each one a soul he could extinguish with a single whispered command. He is the architect of ruin, a title earned in blood and paid for in solitude. His suits are bespoke armor, tailored to hide the monster and present the man. But everyone knows. Everyone feels the Arctic chill that follows him into a room. Tonight, he reviews a ledger, not of numbers, but of lives. A rival has overstepped. A shipment was intercepted. A message must be sent. Standing in the corner, a mountain of loyalty and muscle, is Silas. His face is a mask of granite, his eyes missing nothing. He is Damien's shadow, his enforcer, the instrument of his will. He does not speak unless spoken to. Damien closes the ledger with a soft, final thud. The sound echoes in the cavernous silence. He looks at Silas. The entire operation. Erase it, and send Mr. Petrov my regards. A single rose, on his daughter's pillow. Silas nods once. The order is understood. The punishment is absolute. It is not just business. It is a lesson in fear, delivered with the cold poetry of a predator. Damien's violence is never chaotic. It is an art form. He feels nothing. Not satisfaction, not anger, not even the ghost of a thrill. There is only a vast, echoing emptiness inside him, a space carved out long ago by a trauma he keeps locked behind walls of ice. People are assets or liabilities. Emotions are a currency for the weak. He turns to the window, his reflection a sharp silhouette against the sprawling metropolis, a king in a glass castle, haunted by the profound silence of his own heart. Miles away, in a part of the city the glass spire only looks down upon, Elara Vance is drowning. She is drowning not in water, but in paper. Overdue bills, a final eviction notice, a letter from the pharmacy stating the cost of her brother's medication has increased again. Each page is a wave, pulling her under. Her apartment is small, clean, but worn at the edges, just like her. Her waitress uniform is frayed at the cuffs. Her shoes have walked 1,000 miles of exhaustion. She looks at her younger brother, Leo, asleep on the pull-out sofa. His breathing is shallow, a fragile rhythm in the quiet room. He is the anchor of her world, the reason she fights, the reason she cannot allow herself to sink. Her shift was 14 hours long. Her feet ache with a fire that has become a familiar companion. Her own hunger is a dull throb she has learned to ignore. Leo needs his medicine. The landlord needs his rent. The world needs its pound of flesh. She is the unbreakable dove, though she feels incredibly fragile. She is invisible to the world, just another tired face on a crowded bus, another pair of hands rushing to serve those who have everything. But inside her, beneath the weariness and the quiet desperation, there is a core of steel. It was forged in hardship, tempered by a fierce, protective love. She doesn't know it's there, not really. She has never been tested, not yet. Tonight, she has a second job, a catering gig at a high society gala. The extra cash will barely cover the pharmacy bill, but it is something. It is a breath of air before the next wave hits. She straightens her back, puts on a mask of professional calm, and steps out into the night, leaving the warmth of her small world for the cold glitter of another. The ballroom of the Grand Orion Hotel is a galaxy of obscene wealth. Diamonds glitter on necks and wrists, catching the light from colossal crystal chandeliers. The air is thick with the scent of expensive perfume and the sound of manufactured laughter. Elara moves through it like a ghost. Her tray of champagne flutes a shield. She keeps her eyes down, her movements efficient. Be invisible, do the job, get paid. That is the mantra. Then she sees her. Isabella Beaumont. Isabella is not a guest. She is a centerpiece, draped in crimson silk, a sneer permanently etched onto her perfect face. She is Damian Blackwood's fiancée, a fact she wields like a weapon. Her cruelty is a spectator sport. Tonight, her target is a young waitress, barely older than Leo. The girl, trembling, has accidentally spilled a single drop of wine on Isabella's sleeve. "You clumsy little rat," Isabella hisses, her voice a whip crack in the bubble of quiet she has created around them. "Do you have any idea what this dress costs? It's more than your entire pathetic life is worth." The young waitress begins to cry, her face crumbling. "I am so sorry, miss. I will pay for the cleaning." Isabella laughs, a sharp, ugly sound. "Pay for it? With what? The pennies they give you to carry trays? You are worthless, incompetent." Elara feels it then, a surge of heat in her chest, the steel core glowing hot. She has seen this kind of casual cruelty her whole life. She has always looked away. Not tonight. She sets her tray down on a nearby table. She walks towards them. Every step is a conscious decision, a rebellion. "It was an accident," Elara says, her voice quiet but firm. It cuts through the tension. Isabella turns, her eyes narrowing. She looks Elara up and down, a dismissive, disgusted glance. "And who are you? Another piece of trash from the help?" "Her name is Anna," Elara replies, standing beside the crying girl. "And she deserves to be treated with respect." A hush falls over the immediate area. People are watching now, intrigued by the drama. This is a confrontation between two different species, the predator and the prey that refuses to run. Isabella's face contorts with fury. To be challenged, and by a nobody, a servant. Unthinkable. "Respect?" Isabella scoffs. "You want to talk about respect? You exist to serve, to be invisible, to be silent." She takes a step closer, her voice dropping to a venomous whisper. "You have no idea who you are talking to." "I know exactly who you are," Elara says, her own voice steady, though her heart is hammering against her ribs. "You are a bully." The word hangs in the air, a stunning, brutal truth. Isabella's mask of aristocratic composure shatters. Rage, pure and ugly, flashes in her eyes. Without another word, she leans in and spits directly in Elara's face. The act is so vile, so demeaning. It shocks the onlookers into silence. The crying waitress gasps. Elara does not flinch. She does not wipe her face. She just stands there, her gaze locked on Isabella's, a silent, powerful condemnation. In that moment, she is not a victim. She is a pillar of defiance. And across the room, leaning against a marble column in the shadows, Damian Blackwood watches it all. He had been observing Isabella, his fiancée, with the detached analysis of a scientist studying an uninteresting specimen. Her performance was predictable. Her cruelty, boring. But then, the other girl, the waitress. He watched her step forward. He heard her quiet, steady voice. He saw her stand her ground. He saw her absorb the ultimate insult without breaking. Something inside him, a tectonic plate deep within his frozen soul, shifts. It is not a large movement, but it is enough to crack the ice. He has never seen anything like it. This is not the blustering bravado of a rival. This is true courage. The courage of the pure. He pushes himself off the column. The show is over. As Isabella basks in the shocked silence, preparing for her next tirade, a cold voice cuts through the air. Isabella. The single word is spoken without volume, but it commands the attention of the entire room. It is the voice of absolute authority. Isabella freezes, a flicker of fear in her eyes. She turns and sees Damien approaching. A relieved, triumphant smile spreads across her face. Her king has come to defend her. "Damien, darling," she begins, pointing a dramatic finger at Elara. "This piece of filth was insubordinate. I was just putting her in her place." Damien does not look at Isabella. His eyes, the colour of a stormy sea, are fixed on Elara. He sees the ugly spittle on her cheek. He sees the unwavering strength in her gaze. He stops directly in front of the three women. The air crackles with power. He reaches into his jacket and pulls out a pristine, white silk handkerchief. Gently, with a tenderness that is so alien it shocks everyone, he reaches out and wipes the disgrace from Elara's face. His touch is light, respectful. He then lets the soiled handkerchief fall to the floor, as if it is contaminated. He finally turns his gaze to Isabella. Her triumphant smile has vanished, replaced by confusion and a dawning horror. He looks into her eyes, and his own are utterly empty, devoid of any emotion at all. It is the most terrifying expression she has ever seen. He says 4 words. "You and I are finished." The declaration is flat, a statement of fact, not an argument, an execution. Isabella's mouth opens and closes. "What? Damien, do not be ridiculous. Over this." She gestures at Elara as if she is a piece of trash. Damien pulls out his phone. He does not break eye contact with Isabella. He dials a number. "Liquidate all Beaumont assets tied to my portfolio," he says into the phone. "Cancel her credit lines, all of them, and inform her father his partnership in the consortium is terminated, effective immediately." He hangs up. The entire exchange takes less than 10 seconds. In that time, he has dismantled her family's social and financial empire. He has erased her. Tears of rage and disbelief stream down Isabella's face. "You cannot do this. I am your fiancée." "You were a convenience," Damien says, his voice like chipping ice. "And you have become an embarrassment. Leave." The final word is a command that echoes with the weight of utter finality. Humiliated, broken, and suddenly stripped of all her power, Isabella turns and flees, her sobs trailing behind her. The crowd of onlookers quickly disperses, not wanting to be the next subject of the king's cold wrath. Damien is left standing with Elara and the other waitress. The air is still thick with tension. He turns his full attention back to Elara. She is staring at him, her expression a mixture of shock, fear, and something else he cannot quite read. He notices she is shivering, either from adrenaline or the cold draft of the ballroom. Without a word, he shrugs off his multi-$1,000 bespoke suit jacket and drapes it over her thin shoulders. It engulfs her, smelling faintly of cedar and power. "Go home," he says, his voice softer now, almost gentle. "You are done for the night." He turns and walks away, Silas materializing from the shadows to fall into step behind him. Elara stands frozen, wrapped in the warmth of a monster's jacket, her world irrevocably tilted on its axis. She has just witnessed the fall of a queen and the casual, terrifying power of a king, and she has no idea that he has just decided her old life is over. The next morning arrives with the grey light of reality. The jacket is folded neatly on her chair, a strange, dark relic from another world. The eviction notice is still on the table. Leo is still coughing. Elara is fired before she even has a chance to explain. Her catering manager calls, stammering apologies. The hotel cannot risk antagonizing the wrong people. She understands. She is disposable. The despair she had been holding at bay begins to creep in, cold and suffocating. Then there is a knock on her door. Not the heavy-handed bang of the landlord, but a firm, polite rap. She opens it to find a mountain in a suit. It is Silas, the man from the gala, Damien Blackwood's shadow. His presence fills her tiny hallway, sucking all the air out of the space. He does not smile. His face is unreadable. "Miss Vance," he says, his voice a low rumble. "Mr. Blackwood requests your presence." It is not a request. It is a summons. Fear, cold and sharp, lances through her. Is she being punished? Did she do something wrong by accepting the jacket? I cannot leave my brother," she stammers. "Arrangements have been made," Silas says. He hands her a folder. Inside is a contract, and beside it, a cashier's check made out to her for an amount that makes her vision swim. It is enough to pay her rent for a decade, enough to buy Leo's medicine for a lifetime. Her hands tremble as she reads the contract. It is an employment offer. The position, personal companion. The client, Eleanor Blackwood, Damien's mother. The salary is astronomical. All medical expenses for her and her designated family member, Leo, are covered. Housing is provided. It is a lifeline. It is salvation. Then she reads the fine print. The catch. She must reside at the Blackwood estate. She is not permitted to leave without express permission. She must sever all contact with her previous life, friends and associates. A confidentiality clause, bound by penalties so severe they seem biblical, covers all aspects of her employment and Mr. Blackwood's life. The final line makes her blood run cold. For the duration of this contract, you are the exclusive property of the Blackwood estate. It is not a job offer. It is a deed of ownership. She would be trading her freedom for security, her life for her brother's. She looks from the contract to Silas's impassive face. She thinks of Leo's coughing, of the eviction notice, of the gnawing hunger and the endless, crushing exhaustion. What choice does she have? "You belong to me now." The words were not in the contract, but they were written in every line, in the impossible sum on the check, in the cold finality of the offer. She was stepping into a gilded cage. "I accept," she whispers, the words tasting of ash and relief. The Blackwood estate is not a home. It is a fortress. It sits on acres of manicured land, surrounded by a wall so high it seems designed to keep the sky out. The house itself is a masterpiece of modern architecture, all glass, steel, and stark white stone. It is breathtakingly beautiful and breathtakingly cold. It feels less like a house and more like a high-security art gallery where the exhibits are all missing. Silas leads her through silent, echoing hallways. There are no photographs, no clutter, no signs of life. The air is sterile, filtered, smelling of nothing at all. Heavily armed guards stand sentinel at every corner, their presence a constant low hum of threat. This is a place of immense wealth and profound paranoia. Her new room is a suite, larger than her entire apartment. It has a wall of glass overlooking a severe, geometric garden. The furniture is exquisite, uncomfortable and untouched. A closet is filled with new clothes in her size, all in muted shades of grey, white and black. They have given her a new skin for her new life. She feels like a ghost haunting someone else's perfect, empty existence. The true purpose of her gilded imprisonment is revealed the next day. Silas leads her to a separate wing of the estate, one that feels slightly less sterile. Here, there are hints of warmth, a faded Persian rug, a bookshelf filled with worn classics. And here, she meets Eleanor Blackwood. Damien's mother is a fragile woman with his same stormy eyes, but hers are lost in a fog of confusion. Dementia has stolen her present, leaving her adrift in the fractured memories of her past. One moment she is a young girl calling for her father. The next, she is a new mother, cradling an invisible baby. The nurses are professional but weary. Eleanor is often agitated, resistant to care. She can be difficult, the head nurse warns Ilara. When Ilara enters the room, Eleanor looks at her with suspicion, her frail hands gripping the arms of her wheelchair. Who are you? Are you one of them? The men who took my husband? Ilara's heart aches. Instead of the clinical approach of the nurses, she kneels down, so she is at eye level with the older woman. She does not try to correct her. She enters Eleanor's world. No, Ilara says softly. My name is Ilara. I was just admiring your beautiful quilt. Did you make it? Eleanor blinks, her train of thought derailed. She looks down at the patchwork quilt on her lap. A flicker of lucidity sparks in her eyes. My mother taught me, a long time ago. Ilara spends the rest of the day with her. She does not force her to eat or take her medicine. She reads to her from an old book of poems she finds on the shelf. She asks her about the patterns in the quilt. When Eleanor grows agitated, Ilara begins to hum a simple lullaby, a tune her own mother used to sing to her. Slowly, miraculously, Eleanor calms. She leans back in her chair, her eyes closing. A rare, peaceful smile touches her lips. From a darkened observation room, Damien watches on a monitor. He has watched a dozen highly paid specialists try and fail to reach his mother. They came with theories and techniques, with medication and condescension. They all saw a patient, a problem to be managed. This girl, this waitress from the gutter, sees a person. She does not manage. She connects. She offers kindness, a currency his world has no use for. And with it, she has achieved what all his money could not. A moment of peace for his mother. He had brought her here as an asset, a solution. Her defiance at the gala suggested a strength he needed to protect the one vulnerability he possessed. He had bought her, caged her, to serve a purpose. But as he watches her gently brushing his mother's thin, white hair, he feels that crack inside him widen. He is fascinated. He is confused. This quiet, simple goodness is more foreign to him than any language, more complex than any financial algorithm. She is a wildflower growing in the sterile concrete of his life, and he finds himself wanting to watch her bloom. The days settle into a strange, quiet rhythm. Ilara's world shrinks to the confines of the estate, her time revolving around Eleanor. She finds a routine, not of duty, but of genuine affection. She learns that Eleanor loves the scent of lavender, the taste of lemon tea, and the sound of Chopin. She fills the silent wing with small pockets of life. She brings in fresh flowers from the garden, plays old records on a dusty phonograph, and coaxes stories from the fragments of Eleanor's memory. She rarely sees Damien. He is a phantom in his own home, a fleeting shadow in a hallway, the dark shape of a man in a distant window. But she feels his presence always. She feels his eyes on her. He observes her from a distance. He watches her on the security monitors that cover every inch of the estate. He sees her reading to his mother in the garden, her head bent, the sun catching the light in her hair. He sees her laughing at something Eleanor has said, a genuine, beautiful sound that feels alien in these sterile halls. One evening, she is in the vast, cathedral-like library, searching for a book for Eleanor. The sheer volume of leather-bound spines is overwhelming. The poetry is on the third floor. West wall, a low voice says from the shadows. She jumps, spinning around. Damien is standing there, leaning against a bookshelf, watching her. She has no idea how long he has been there. "Thank you," she stammers, her heart racing. He is an intimidating presence, radiating a dangerous stillness. "My mother seems calmer," he states. It is not a question. "She just needs a friend," Ilara says simply. He takes a step closer, and she has to fight the urge to retreat. His eyes search her face, as if looking for a secret. You are not afraid of her. Why would I be afraid of her? Everyone else is, he says. They are afraid of her outbursts, of the sickness. She is not her sickness, Alara replies, a flicker of her old defiance returning. She is a person who is lost. It is not her fault she cannot find her way. A strange look passes over his face, a flicker of something that looks like pain, or perhaps memory. It is gone as quickly as it appears. You are not afraid of me either, he says, his voice a low murmur. You should be. I am, she confesses, her voice barely a whisper. I am terrified of you. The honesty of her admission hangs in the air between them. He seems surprised by it, as if he expected a lie or a placation. Good, he says, and the single word is a cold splash of water, a reminder of who he is and what he is capable of. He turns and leaves as silently as he appeared, leaving her alone in the immense library, her heart pounding with a confusing mix of fear and a strange, unwelcome flutter of intrigue. He is a monster, a cold, ruthless killer who bought her life. But she has seen him watch his mother with an expression of profound, helpless love. She has seen him show a moment of shocking tenderness to a stranger. He is a puzzle of darkness and light, and she is trapped in the middle of it. The quiet rhythm is a lie. It is the calm before the inevitable storm. In the underworld, Damien commands, peace is never a state of being. It is merely a pause between wars. A rival he had crushed months ago, the very Petrov whose operation he had erased, has been plotting. Fueled by grief and a thirst for vengeance, Petrov has found a way inside Damien's fortress. He has found a traitor. Marco, a lieutenant Damien had trusted for a decade, has sold his loyalty for a price. He has provided schematics, guard schedules, and override codes for the security system. The attack comes on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. There is no warning. One moment, the estate is bathed in peaceful sunlight. The next, the world erupts. A coordinated series of explosions takes out the primary generators and communication towers. The perimeter walls are breached in 3 locations. The low hum of security is replaced by the piercing shriek of alarms and the unmistakable, terrifying chatter of automatic gunfire. The fortress is under siege. Alara is in Eleanor's sunroom, helping the old woman arrange flowers. When the first explosion shakes the foundation of the house, Eleanor cries out, her hands flying to her ears. What was that? Is it thunder? She asks, her eyes wide with fear. Alara's blood runs cold. She knows that sound was not thunder. The gunfire confirms it. The nurses panic, screaming, running from the room. But Alara's mind goes strangely calm. Her only thought is of Eleanor. Protect Eleanor. She grabs the handles of the wheelchair. We are just going to play a game of hide and seek, okay? She says, her voice miraculously steady. We need to find the best hiding spot. She pushes the wheelchair out of the sunroom and into the main bedroom, her eyes scanning for a defense. The door is solid oak. She shoves a heavy chest of drawers in front of it, her muscles straining. The sounds of fighting are getting closer. Shouts, crashes, the sickening thud of bodies hitting the floor. Eleanor begins to weep, her fear escalating into panic. They are coming for us! The bad men are here! Shh! It is okay, Alara soothes, her own terror a cold knot in her stomach. I will not let anyone hurt you. I promise. Meanwhile, Damien is in his own personal hell. He was in the subterranean training range when the attack began. Now he and Silas are fighting their way through their own home, which has become a kill box. His mind is a cold, tactical computer. Analyze threats, prioritize targets, conserve ammunition. But underneath the icy logic, A fire of pure panic is raging. It is a feeling he has not experienced in years. It is not fear for himself. It is for her, Elara. He knows the attacker's primary target will not be him. A king is useless if you cannot make him suffer. They will go for his heart. They will go for his mother. And Elara is with his mother. The thought of her, soft and good and breakable, caught in this storm of violence he has created, shatters his composure. His movements become more brutal, more efficient, fueled by a desperate, terrifying urgency. They are in the East Wing, Silas grunts, dispatching an attacker with ruthless efficiency. Heading for your mother's suite. Damien does not reply. He just moves faster, a spectre of death flowing through the chaos, every downed enemy a stepping stone on his path to her. The heavy oak door to Eleanor's room splinters under the force of a battering ram. 3 masked men spill into the room, their weapons raised. They see the old woman cowering in her wheelchair and the young woman standing in front of her like a human shield. Well, well, the leader sneers. The Queen Mother, and a little bonus. Elara's heart is a frantic bird beating against the cage of her ribs. Her body is trembling uncontrollably, but she stands her ground. "Leave her alone," she says, her voice shaking but defiant. The man laughs. "Move, girl. Our business is not with you." "You will have to go through me," she says. The man's amusement vanishes, replaced by irritation. He takes a step forward and grabs her arm, his fingers digging in like claws. He yanks her aside. But just as he turns his attention back to Eleanor, the door to the hallway bursts open. Damien is there. His bespoke suit is torn and stained with blood. His face is a mask of pure, murderous fury. His eyes are not the color of a stormy sea anymore. They are the storm itself. He raises his weapon, a blur of motion. 2 of the attackers fall before they can even register his presence. The leader is faster. He reacts instantly, grabbing Elara and yanking her in front of him, pressing the cold metal of a gun barrel to her temple. "Drop it, Blackwood," he snarls, "or the girl gets it." The world stops. Damien freezes, his weapon trained. He sees the terror in Elara's eyes. He sees the gun pressed to her skin. And the cold, tactical computer in his mind short-circuits. All he feels is a white-hot, blinding panic. The thought of losing her is a physical agony, a knife twisting in the vast emptiness inside him. He is going to lose the only pure thing that has ever entered his life. Elara feels the cold metal against her skin, the man's foul breath on her neck. She is going to die. The thought is strangely distant. Her gaze is locked with Damien's. She sees the raw panic on his face, the crack in his icy facade. He is terrified. For her. And in that moment, something shifts. The unbreakable dove finds her steel. She is not a victim. She is not a pawn. With a surge of adrenaline that obliterates all fear, she stomps down, hard, on the attacker's instep with the heel of her shoe. He grunts in pain, his grip loosening for a fraction of a second. It is all she needs. She drives her elbow backward, with all her strength, into his ribs. The man cries out, stumbling, his aim wavering for a single, critical heartbeat. The sound of Damien's gunshot is deafening in the enclosed space. The man holding her collapses, and she falls with him, landing on the floor amidst the debris and the sudden, shocking silence. The silence lasts for a second, maybe 2. Then Damien is moving. He clears the room in 2 long strides, his weapon discarded. He drops to his knees beside her, his hands hovering over her, shaking, as if he is afraid to touch her, afraid she might shatter. "Elara." Her name is a raw, ragged sound torn from his throat. He pulls her up, his hands frantically checking her for injuries. His touch is not gentle. It is desperate, possessive. His eyes, wild with the aftermath of terror, scan every inch of her. "Are you hurt? Did he hurt you?" he asks, his voice thick with an emotion she has never heard from him before. No, she whispers, her body still trembling from the adrenaline. I am okay. Relief, so profound it is almost violent, washes over his face. The rigid control he maintains at all times shatters into a million pieces. He cups her face in his hands, his thumbs stroking her cheeks as if to reassure himself she is real. She is alive. And then he kisses her. It is not a gentle kiss. It is not tender or romantic. It is a desperate, crushing collision of lips, a raw act of possession born from the terror of almost losing her. It is the kiss of a drowning man finding air, of a king reclaiming his world. It tastes of gunpowder, fear, and a desperate, agonizing relief. He pulls back, his forehead resting against hers. His breathing is ragged. The storm in his eyes has calmed, replaced by a raw, burning intensity. I thought I lost you, he breathes, the confession a painful whisper against her lips. His voice is stripped bare of all its usual cold authority, leaving only the raw vulnerability of a man terrified. He looks into her eyes, and she sees the truth of his soul for the first time. The monster, the king, the architect of ruin. It is all a facade. Beneath it is a man haunted by loss, and the thought of losing her had brought him to his knees. Never again, he growls, the cold authority seeping back, but changed now, forged into a protective shield around her. I will burn this city to the ground before I let anyone touch you again. He seals the vow with another kiss, this one shorter, a brand of ownership, a promise of brutal retribution. Silas appears in the doorway, his face grim. The estate is secure. We have a survivor. The traitor. Damien's head snaps up. The vulnerability vanishes, replaced by an arctic coldness that is more terrifying than any rage. He looks at Silas, and a silent, brutal understanding passes between them. He gets to his feet, pulling Elara up with him. He does not let her go. He keeps one arm wrapped firmly around her, as if she is an anchor in the storm of his own fury. He looks down at her, his eyes softening for a fraction of a second. The contract is void, he says, his voice low and absolute. You are not my employee. You are not my property. He pauses, his gaze intense, possessive. You are mine. The distinction is everything. He is not elevating her to a partner, not yet. He is declaring her essential, irreplaceable, the heart of his fortress, the center of his world. She is no longer in a gilded cage. The cage itself has been reforged into a throne, and he has just placed her upon it. The aftermath of the siege is a landscape of quiet horror. The estate's pristine white walls are scarred by bullets and stained with blood. The silence is heavy, punctuated by the grim work of cleaning up the dead. In the cold, concrete basement, Marco, the traitor, is bound to a chair. He is beaten, but alive. Damien wanted him lucid for this. Damien circles him like a shark, his movements slow, deliberate. Elara is not here. He had Silas escort her back to her suite, a place that was no longer just her room, but her sanctuary, with guards posted at her door. Why? Damien asks, his voice deceptively calm. It is the calm of a deep, frozen lake, where unimaginable pressures churn beneath the surface. Marco spits blood on the floor. Petrov paid me more. It is just business. Damien stops in front of him. A flicker of something that might be disappointment crosses his face. Business? You brought this war to my home. You put my family at risk. You put her at risk. The temperature in the room seems to drop by 20 degrees. She was just a maid, Damien, Marco scoffs, a fatal miscalculation. Damien's hand moves faster than the eye can see. The sound of bone cracking echoes in the small room. Marco screams, his nose now a bloody ruin. She is worth more than you and every man you brought here combined, Damien says, his voice a low, lethal hiss. He leans in close. Your business transaction has been declined. He straightens up, wiping a drop of blood from his knuckle with a handkerchief. He looks at Silas. I want Petrov. I want his entire family. I want his associates, his bankers, his dog walker. I want his name erased from the memory of this city. Leave nothing but dust and echoes. As for him, he gestures to Marco. Make it slow. I want his last thought to be this mistake. Silas nods once. The purge has begun. Over the next few weeks, a brutal, silent war is waged in the city's underworld. It is not fought in the streets, but in the shadows. Men disappear. Bank accounts are emptied. Empires built over decades crumble overnight. Damien is a phantom of vengeance. His retribution is systematic, clinical, and absolute. The narration of his actions would be a litany of cold, calculated violence. A rival's car veering off a bridge, a traitor's safe house becoming a tomb, financial ruin delivered with a single keystroke. He is re-establishing his dominance, but his motivation has changed. Before, he protected his power. Now he protects his world, his home, his mother, his queen. During this time, he and Alara exist in a strange bubble. The estate is being repaired, scrubbed clean of the violence. The unspoken tension between them has been replaced by an unspoken intimacy. He finds her in the garden one afternoon, watching his mother sleep in her wheelchair under the sun. He comes and stands beside her, their shoulders almost touching. Leo is well, he says quietly. The new doctors are optimistic. His school tuition has been paid for the next 10 years. Alara turns to him, her eyes wide. She had not asked. She had not dared. Thank you. He is your family, Damien states, as if it is the most obvious thing in the world. That makes him mine to protect. In his world, this is a declaration of love. 6 months pass. The storm is over. The dust has settled. Damien's kingdom is secure, his throne reforged in the fires of his enemy's ruin. The city breathes his name in hushed, fearful reverence once more. But within the fortress walls, something has irrevocably changed. The cold, sterile mansion has begun to feel like a home. There are flowers in the vases that are not just for Eleanor. There is music playing softly in the halls. There is the sound of Leo's occasional happy laughter when he visits on weekends, his health profoundly improved. The architect of ruin has started building something new. Tonight, there is a charity ball at the Grand Orion Hotel, the same ballroom where Alara's old life ended and her new one began. Damien has insisted they attend. Alara stands before a mirror in her suite. She barely recognizes the woman staring back at her. The worn waitress uniform is gone, replaced by a breathtaking gown of midnight blue silk that shimmers like a captured night sky. Her hair is styled in elegant waves, and a simple, stunning necklace of sapphires, the color of Damien's eyes, rests at her throat. She is no longer invisible. She radiates a quiet, powerful confidence that comes not from the clothes or the jewels, but from within. She has faced down death and looked into the soul of a monster, and she is still standing. She has been transformed. Damien enters the room, and for a moment he simply stops and stares. He too is in his armor, a perfectly tailored black tuxedo. But the look in his eyes is not that of a king surveying his domain. It is one of pure, unadulterated adoration. He crosses the room and holds out his hand. Are you ready? I'm still afraid, she confesses softly. Not of him anymore, but of that world, the world of whispers and judgment. He brings her hand to his lips, his gaze never leaving hers. Let them whisper, he says, his voice a low promise. You are with me. You are untouchable. When they enter the ballroom, a wave of silence follows them. Every head turns. Every eye is on them, on him, the fearsome Damien Blackwood, and on the stunning, unknown woman on his arm. The whispers start immediately. Who is she? Where did she come from? Is she his latest acquisition? Alara can feel the weight of their stares, the venom of their curiosity. The old instinctual fear makes her want to shrink, to become invisible again. But then she feels Damien's hand tighten possessively on the small of her back, a silent anchor. She lifts her chin, meets their gazes, and does not look away. She is not an acquisition. She is his queen. Let them stare. Later in the evening, they are seated at a private table, observing the glittering crowd. Alara sees it happen across the room. A young, nervous waitress, her hands trembling, accidentally drops a tray of glasses. They shatter on the marble floor with a loud crash. The hotel manager, a pompous, cruel-looking man, rushes over. His face is purple with rage. He begins to berate the girl, his voice loud and humiliating. The girl is crying, just as Anna had all those months ago. Alara feels a familiar surge of heat. But this time, it is not the desperate rebellion of the powerless. It is the steady, calm fire of authority. She places her hand on Damien's arm. "Excuse me for a moment." He watches her, a small, knowing smile playing on his lips. He does not stop her. He simply watches, fascinated. Alara rises and glides across the floor. Her presence alone causes the manager to fall silent. He recognizes power when he sees it, and the woman walking toward him is with Damien Blackwood. She does not address the manager first. She kneels down beside the crying waitress, who is trying to pick up the broken glass with shaking hands. "Be careful. You will cut yourself," Alara says softly. She places a hand on the girl's arm, stopping her. She then looks up at the manager, her expression calm but unyielding. "It was an accident. It can happen to anyone." "Miss, she is incompetent," the manager sputters, intimidated but trying to maintain his authority. "There will be consequences." "No," Alara says, her voice still quiet, but now laced with a steel that brooks no argument. "There will not be. You will find someone else to clean this up. And you will apologize to this young lady for humiliating her." The manager's jaw drops. He looks from Alara to Damien, who is watching them from his table with an expression of intense pride. The manager understands immediately. This woman's command carries the weight of Damien Blackwood's entire empire. "Yes, of course, miss," he stammers, his entire demeanor changing. "My apologies." Alara turns her back on him, her attention focused solely on the waitress. She helps the girl to her feet. "What is your name?" "Maria," the girl whispers, looking at Alara with awe. Alara reaches into her small clutch and pulls out a folded bill, a sum that is likely more than the girl makes in a month. She presses it into Maria's hand. "Go take the rest of the night off," Alara says gently, "and do not ever let anyone make you feel small." She gives the girl's hand a reassuring squeeze and walks back to her table, leaving a stunned silence in her wake. She has ascended from maid to queen, but she has not lost her soul. She has held on to the kindness and empathy that made Damien notice her in the first place. She now wields her new power, not as a weapon of cruelty, like Isabella, but as a shield for the vulnerable. When she sits down, Damien reaches across the table and takes her hand. His eyes are shining with an emotion she now recognizes as love. "My queen," he says, and the words are a coronation. The final scene is not one of grandeur or power, but of quiet, profound peace. It is a sunny afternoon at the estate. The fortress has become a sanctuary. Leo, healthy and vibrant, is chasing a ball across the lawn, his laughter echoing in the air. On the veranda, Alara sits beside Eleanor's wheelchair, reading aloud from a book of poetry. Eleanor is lucid today, a rare and precious gift. She is smiling, her hand resting on Ilara's. Damien stands in the doorway, watching them. He is not wearing a suit. He is in a simple cashmere sweater, his posture relaxed. The architect of ruin, the cold king, is gone. In his place is a man who has found something to build instead of destroy. A family, a home, a life. He looks at Ilara, the unbreakable dove who flew into his world of darkness and filled it with light. She did not just save his mother, she saved him. She taught the monster how to be a man. He walks over and kneels beside her chair, taking her free hand in his. He says nothing. He does not need to. The three of them sit together in the warm sunlight, a strange and beautiful portrait of a family forged in violence and redeemed by love. The king has found his humanity. The dove has found her strength. And in the ruins of who they used to be, they have built a new reign, founded not on fear, but on the unshakable power of a love that was strong enough to tame a monster.